The massive alien ship appeared without warning, breaking through the clouds above New York City like a dark storm. Captain James Walker stood at the command center of Earth Defense Force headquarters, his hands gripped tightly behind his back as he watched the main screen. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this moment. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," said Lieutenant Rogers, her fingers flying across the control panel. "They're demanding to speak with Earth's leaders." Walker took a deep breath. Humanity had prepared for this day, but not everyone knew just how prepared they really were. "Put them through," he ordered, straightening his uniform. The screen flickered, revealing a tall, gray-skinned being with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its metal-plated armor gleamed under the ship's lights. "I am High Commander Rex of the Dominion," the alien announced, its universal translator converting the clicking sounds into English. "Your planet has been selected for integration into our Confederation. Resistance would be illogical given our technological superiority." Walker maintained a neutral expression, though inside he felt a mix of anticipation and amusement. The aliens had no idea what they were walking into. "This is Captain James Walker of the Earth Defense Force. We acknowledge your presence but reject your offer of integration." All 4 of Rex's eyes blinked in sequence. "Your response is unexpected. Our scans show your civilization has barely achieved spaceflight. You possess no energy shields, no quantum weapons, no faster-than-light travel. Yet you refuse." "That's correct," Walker replied calmly. "Earth will remain independent." The alien commander's skin shifted to a lighter shade of gray, perhaps their version of confusion or frustration. "You have primitive projectile weapons and basic fusion technology. Our smallest ship could destroy your largest military installation. This defiance serves no logical purpose." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Perhaps not from your perspective." "You smile," Rex observed, leaning closer to the screen. "Your facial expression indicates amusement, yet nothing about this situation should cause such a reaction. Explain." "I don't believe I will," Walker answered. The alien commander's skin now pulsed with patterns of dark gray. "Your behavior contradicts all strategic algorithms. You face superior forces, yet show no fear. You possess inferior technology, yet display confidence. This does not compute." Around the command center, human operators maintained their positions, some hiding their own smiles. They all knew what the aliens didn't. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technological at all. "You have 1 planetary rotation to reconsider," Rex declared. "If you do not submit, we will begin military operations." "This is not a threat. It is simply factual information about future events." Walker nodded. "Understood. We'll be ready." The transmission cut off, and Lieutenant Rogers turned to him. "They've positioned 5 warships in orbit, sir. Each one could level a continent." "Good," Walker said, pressing a button on his command console. "Get me Admiral Wilson. It's time to activate Project Legacy." "Do you think they suspect anything?" Rogers asked. Walker shook his head. "How could they? They evolved to only speak truth and think in absolutes. They have no concept of deception, no understanding of fiction or false scenarios. Their mighty empire has never encountered a species that can imagine things that aren't real." He looked at the tactical display showing the alien ships in orbit. The Dominion thought they were dealing with a primitive species barely out of its cradle. They had no idea they were about to face an enemy who had spent millennia perfecting the art of making others believe things that weren't true. "Send word to all Earth Defense Force units," Walker ordered. "Operation Storyteller begins at dawn." The first shots hadn't been fired yet, but humanity's greatest battle was about to begin. And their secret weapon, something no alien race had ever evolved to handle, was ready to be unleashed. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Anna Smith walked through steel corridors that officially didn't exist. The emergency lights cast a red glow across the walls as alarms echoed through the underground facility. Her footsteps quickened as she approached the central archive chamber. "Status report," she called out to her team as she entered the vast circular room. Dozens of researchers rushed between computer stations, their faces lit by glowing screens. "The Dominion ships are holding position in orbit," replied Dr. Tom Baker, her deputy. He pointed to a large monitor showing 5 massive alien vessels suspended above Earth. "They're still waiting for their deadline to expire." Anna nodded, placing her hand on the biometric scanner that opened her private workstation. "And Project Legacy. All systems are ready. The transmission arrays are powered up, and our tactical AI is prepared to begin broadcasting the first wave of false data." For 30 years, humanity had maintained this facility, knowing this day would come. While the world above thought humans were just beginning to reach for the stars, the truth was very different. They had detected alien signals decades ago and learned something incredible. Every advanced species they observed communicated only in absolute truths. "Begin loading the Jackson protocols," Anna ordered. Screens around the room shifted, displaying complex patterns of data. "Has everyone reviewed their role in the operation?" The research team nodded. They had rehearsed this thousands of times, but now it was real. Humanity's greatest advantage wasn't their technology. It was their ability to make others believe in things that weren't real. A new alarm sounded, and Tom's screen flashed red. "Dr. Smith, the Dominion is broadcasting again. They're sending us their complete tactical database." Anna smiled. "Of course they are. They want to prove their superiority by showing us exactly how they'll defeat us. They literally can't conceive of giving false information." She walked to the center of the room where a holographic display showed the alien fleet's formation. The Dominion had included every detail of their battle plans, their ship's capabilities, and their strategic protocols. To them, hiding such information would be as impossible as hiding the color of the sky. "Begin Phase 1, Anna commanded. "Upload the false fleet signatures. Let's show them some ships that don't exist." Around the room, technicians began their work. Humanity's secret weapon was about to be unleashed. Not energy beams or antimatter bombs, but carefully crafted lies that would confuse and disorient an enemy that couldn't even understand the concept of deception. "Dr. Smith," Tom called out, his voice tense. "Command just sent new orders. They want us to activate the Baker scenario." Anna's eyes widened. The Baker scenario was their most ambitious plan, creating false readings of an entire human battle fleet approaching from the far side of the moon. It would take enormous computing power to maintain the deception, but against an enemy that had never encountered lies before, it would be devastating. "Do it," she ordered, "and send word to Captain Walker. Tell him Operation Storyteller is fully operational." As her team worked, Anna thought about the irony of their situation. The aliens above them had mastered faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and technology that seemed like magic. But they had never developed the ability to deceive, to create fiction, to imagine things that weren't real. That was humanity's gift, and their secret weapon. While every other species evolved to only process and communicate pure truth, humans had developed the ability to craft and believe in wonderful, terrible things that existed only in their minds. "First wave of false signatures launching in 3 minutes, Tom announced. Anna watched the countdown begin on the main screen. Above them, the most powerful alien fleet in the sector was about to learn that sometimes the ability to tell a convincing lie was more powerful than any weapon of war. The first test of humanity's secret weapon came faster than expected. High Commander Rex's patience had run out after just 6 hours, not the full day he had promised. His massive flagship descended through Earth's atmosphere, a show of force meant to frighten the primitive humans into submission. In the Rocky Mountain Facilities Command Center, Dr. Anna Smith watched the alien ships approach with calm anticipation. "Are we ready for the first demonstration?" she asked. "Yes," Tom replied, his fingers hovering over the control panel. "The false fleet signatures are in position. Command is giving us the green light." The massive view screen showed the Dominion flagship hanging above Washington, D.C., its weapon ports glowing with deadly energy. Rex's voice boomed through their communication system. "Your time has expired," the alien commander announced. "You have displayed highly illogical behavior. We will now begin military operations to ensure minimal damage to Earth's infrastructure." Captain Walker's voice came through next, broadcasting from the Earth Defense Force headquarters. "Before you fire, High Commander, you might want to check your long-range sensors." There was a pause, then Rex's voice returned, tinged with something that might have been confusion. "Impossible. Our scans detect a fleet of 300 warships emerging from behind your moon. This cannot be accurate. Our initial survey showed no such fleet." "Check again," Walker suggested calmly. In the underground facility, Anna watched as her team fed false sensor data into the Dominion's detection systems. The aliens' own technology worked against them. Their sensors were perfectly accurate, but they had no concept that the data being fed into them could be false. "The fleet doesn't exist," Tom whispered, still amazed at how easily the deception worked. "But they believe it because their sensors say it's there, and they can't imagine sensor data being manipulated." Rex's voice crackled through again. "Your ships are appearing and disappearing from our sensors. They move in patterns that violate known laws of physics. Explain this phenomenon." "Some things can't be explained," Walker replied. "They can only be experienced." The alien commander's next words carried a note of distress. "This is causing severe disruption among my crew. We are detecting weapons that cannot exist, energy readings that contradict fundamental universal constants. My tactical officers are reporting system malfunctions that cannot be occurring." Anna nodded to her team, and they initiated the second phase. Now the false fleet began displaying impossible weapons, devices that broke the laws of physics, energy readings that couldn't exist in real space. To humans, it was obviously fake. To the aliens who had never evolved the ability to disbelieve their own senses, it was mind-breaking. "Their ship is withdrawing," Tom announced, watching the flagship retreat to a higher orbit. "Their weapon systems are powering down." "How?" Rex demanded. "How are you creating these impossibilities?" Walker's response was carefully measured. "Perhaps we're not creating anything. Perhaps your sensors are working perfectly, and you're seeing exactly what we want you to see." The concept of intentional deception, of someone showing you something they knew wasn't real, was completely foreign to the Dominion. Their entire civilization was built on absolute truth and perfect honesty. They had no defense against an enemy who could imagine and project falsehoods. "Strategic withdrawal is advised," they heard Rex tell his fleet. "We must analyze this new form of warfare." As the alien ships pulled back to a safer distance, Anna allowed herself a small smile. The Dominion had expected to find primitive weapons and simple defenses. Instead, they had encountered something far more powerful: humanity's ability to shape perception itself. "Send word to all stations," she ordered. "Begin Phase 3. Let's show them what else we can make them believe." The real battle was just beginning, and humanity's greatest weapon, imagination itself, was proving more powerful than any alien technology. Commander Mark Thompson stood on the bridge of Earth's only real spaceship, the EDF Deception. Unlike the Phantom Fleet they had shown the aliens, this vessel was completely real, though what the enemy's sensors told them about it was anything but truthful. "Status of the Dominion Fleet?" he asked his tactical officer. "They're still trying to analyze our Phantom Fleet, sir," Lieutenant Jack Ross replied. "Their ships are spread out in a defensive formation around Earth's orbit. They're completely distracted by our false signatures." Mark nodded, watching the tactical display. The aliens had withdrawn their ships to a higher orbit after their first encounter with humanity's deceptive capabilities. Now was the time to show them what else humans could do. "Begin Operation Ghost Story," he ordered. Around him, his crew began implementing the carefully planned strategy. The Deception's advanced systems started broadcasting dozens of different sensor signatures, making the single ship appear to be breaking apart into multiple vessels. "Sir, the Dominion ships are detecting our signature splitting," Jack reported. Their combat algorithms appear to be confused. They can't determine if we're one ship or 20. In the Rocky Mountain facility far below, Dr. Anna Smith and her team monitored the operation. They fed false data directly into the alien fleet's sensor networks, making the deception appear to be simultaneously in multiple locations. Their tactical computers are trying to track all our false positions at once, Anna reported through the command channel. Remember, they physically cannot understand that we're deceiving them. Their minds evolved to only process truth. Mark watched as the alien fleet began to respond to their phantom signals. The Dominion ships fired their weapons at empty space, chasing sensor ghosts that didn't exist. Their perfect formation began to break apart as each ship detected different false threats. "Send the message," Mark commanded. His communications officer transmitted the carefully crafted broadcast. "Dominion fleet, be advised. Your sensors are now under our control. Everything you see is what we want you to see." The response was immediate. High Commander Rex's voice came through, showing the first signs of real stress they had heard from the aliens. "This statement is impossible," Rex declared. "Sensors show objective reality. They cannot show what is not real. Your claim violates fundamental laws of information theory." "And yet," Mark replied calmly, "your fleet is firing at empty space, chasing ships that don't exist. How do you explain that, Commander?" The aliens' response was to fire another barrage of energy weapons at completely empty areas of space where they thought they detected Earth ships. Their perfect tactical precision was useless against an enemy they couldn't accurately target. "Sir," Jack called out, "two of their ships just fired on each other. They both detected false signatures that made each think the other was one of our vessels." This was the true power of humanity's weapon. The aliens' complete inability to disbelieve their sensor data made them vulnerable to every false reading, every phantom signal, every deceptive broadcast humanity could create. "Launch Phase 2, Mark ordered. "Let's show them our super weapon." The deception began broadcasting energy signatures that suggested it was charging an impossible weapon, one that broke every law of physics the aliens understood. To humans, the readings were obviously fake. To the Dominion, who could not conceive of deliberate falsehood, they were terrifyingly real. "Their fleet is falling back," Jack announced with a grin. "They're retreating from weapons that don't even exist." Mark allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had come expecting to find primitive humans with primitive weapons. Instead, they had found an enemy who could make them see whatever humans wanted them to see. And this was just the beginning. "Send word to Earth Command," he ordered. "Tell them the first strike was successful. We're ready to begin the main offensive." High Commander Rex stood on the bridge of his flagship, experiencing something no Dominion commander had felt in 10,000 years: doubt. Around him, his crew worked frantically to make sense of sensor readings that seemed to break every law of physics they knew. "Commander," his second-in-command reported, "3 more ships have lost combat effectiveness. Their crews are unable to process the tactical situation." Rex watched his mighty fleet falling apart. The humans were doing something his people had no defense against. Every sensor showed impossible things. Every scan revealed weapons that couldn't exist, and every communication from Earth contained information that contradicted itself. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Anna Smith watched the aliens' growing confusion with a mixture of satisfaction and pity. "Their minds literally can't handle what we're showing them," she explained to Captain Walker, who had joined her team underground. "Imagine living your entire life only able to think in absolute truths, then suddenly encountering deliberate falsehood." "Launch the next phase," Walker ordered. "Let's see how they handle multiple contradicting truths at once." The human technicians began broadcasting different versions of reality to each Dominion ship. One would see Earth's phantom fleet approaching from the sun, another would detect it coming from behind the moon, and a third would register attacks from beneath the planet's surface. On the Dominion flagship, Rex received dozens of conflicting reports from his ships. "Impossible," he muttered, his skin turning almost white with distress. "Every ship reports a different tactical situation. All readings are verified as accurate, yet they cannot all be true." "Sir," his second-in-command called out, "the human vessel is. It's in 3 places at once. All sensor readings are confirmed accurate, but this violates fundamental reality." The true horror of humanity's weapon was becoming clear to the Dominion forces. Humans could imagine things that weren't real, could believe things they knew were false, could create scenarios that defied logic, and somehow they could make the aliens' own instruments show these impossibilities as truth. In Earth orbit, Commander Mark Thompson directed the EDF Deception through a series of maneuvers that appeared to violate the laws of physics. The single ship's sensor profiles split and merged, appeared and disappeared, leaving the alien fleet firing desperately at shadows. "Their command structure is breaking down," Lieutenant Ross reported with a grin. 3 of their ships are requesting clarification of orders they already received. They can't handle the idea that an order might be false. The Dominion's mighty fleet, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, was being defeated not by superior firepower, but by humanity's ability to make them question their own reality. Their rigid minds, evolved to process only pure truth, were crumbling under the weight of human deception. "Send the final message," Walker commanded from the underground facility. All across the Dominion fleet, commanders received a simple transmission: "Everything we have shown you is false, or is this statement itself a deception?" The effect was devastating. The aliens, unable to process the paradox of a statement that claimed it was false, began to lose their grip on tactical reality. Ships stopped responding to commands, crews froze in confusion, and the mighty Dominion battle fleet began to drift aimlessly in space. "They're retreating," Mark announced from the Deception's bridge. "The entire fleet is falling back to the outer solar system." Anna watched the tactical display as humanity's greatest enemy fled from weapons that didn't exist, terrified of capabilities that weren't real, defeated by humanity's unique ability to imagine and project falsehood. "Send word to command," Walker ordered. "Tell them Phase 5 was successful. The Dominion fleet is broken. Now we can begin the real operation." Word spread quickly through the galactic communication networks. Species after species received the impossible news. The mighty Dominion fleet had been defeated by a primitive world, not through superior firepower, but through means that defied explanation. In the Great Hall of Records on the Dominion homeworld, the High Council gathered to watch the recorded footage of their fleet's defeat. Their 4-eyed faces showed various shades of gray as they witnessed their ships firing at empty space, chasing phantom readings, and finally retreating in confusion. "How can this be?" asked First Speaker Bill, the eldest of the council. The humans had no significant technology. Their only ship was barely capable of reaching their own moon. On Earth, Captain Walker stood before the United Nations, explaining humanity's victory. The session was being broadcast across the galaxy, monitored by thousands of alien civilizations. "For centuries," he explained, "we knew we were different. Every alien signal we intercepted, every communication we decoded, showed species that could only speak in absolutes. They had never developed the ability to imagine things that weren't real." In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Anna Smith and her team were archiving the data from their victory. Screens showed incoming transmissions from dozens of alien races, all trying to understand what had happened. Their ships detected things that didn't exist, one alien scientist reported. Yet their sensors were functioning perfectly. This contradicts all known laws of information theory. "Look at this," Tom said, pointing to a message from another alien civilization. "They're calling us reality benders because they can't understand the concept of intentional deception." The true scope of humanity's advantage was becoming clear to the galaxy. Every other known species had evolved to process only absolute truth. They had developed incredible technologies, mastered the laws of physics, but never gained the ability to imagine or believe in things that weren't real. Commander Mark Thompson, aboard the EDF Deception, received transmission after transmission from alien military leaders. They all asked the same question: how had one ship defeated an entire fleet? "We didn't need a huge fleet," he explained to them. "We just needed to make you believe we had one." The aliens' responses all showed the same confusion. They understood the words, but the concept was foreign to them. The idea of making someone believe something that wasn't true simply didn't exist in their languages. In the UN chamber, Walker continued his explanation to the galaxy. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to imagine, to create, to make others see things that exist only in our minds. What you call deception, we call creativity. What you see as a weapon, we see as art. The galactic community was revolutionized by this revelation. Species that had looked down on Earth as a primitive world now saw it in a new light. Humanity had evolved something unique in the galaxy: the ability to think beyond absolute truth. The Dominion fleet retreated. Anna reported to the gathered UN representatives, "Because we showed them something their minds couldn't process. We showed them that reality isn't always what your sensors tell you it is." As the news spread, other alien civilizations began approaching Earth, not with threats of conquest, but with offers of alliance. They had discovered that humanity's primitive minds possessed something their advanced civilizations had never developed: the power to shape perception itself. "Send word to all Earth installations," Walker ordered. "Tell them it's time for Phase 6. We're ready to show the galaxy what else humans can do." The age of humanity had begun, and their secret weapon, imagination itself, had changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. 1 month after the Dominion's retreat, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different. For the first time in its 1,000-year history, a human stood at the speaker's podium. Captain James Walker faced the assembled representatives of 50 alien civilizations, each trying to understand the species that had changed everything. "We come here not as conquerors," Walker began, "but as teachers. What you saw as our weapon is actually our gift to the galaxy." In the audience, High Commander Rex sat with his fellow Dominion leaders. Their once mighty empire had requested peace talks within days of their fleet's retreat. Their gray skin still showed patterns of confusion as they watched the human speaker. "For 10,000 years," Walker continued, "the galaxy has evolved based on pure logic and absolute truth. But humanity followed a different path. We learned to imagine things that weren't real, to tell stories, to create new possibilities." Dr. Anna Smith stood next to him, operating a holographic display that showed scenes from human history. "Look at our art," she said, pointing to images of paintings, sculptures, and digital creations. "Every piece shows something that isn't real, yet we can all see it, understand it, be moved by it." The alien representatives leaned forward, struggling to comprehend. Their sensors told them the holographic images weren't real, yet the humans spoke about them, as if they had meaning, value, importance. "Your civilizations mastered faster than light travel," Commander Mark Thompson added from his position near the podium. "You built weapons that could destroy stars. But you never learned to tell a simple story. You never learned to imagine something that could be, rather than just seeing what is." Tom Baker, now promoted to chief of Earth's new Galactic Relations Department, displayed the data from their victory over the Dominion. "We defeated your most powerful fleet not through superior technology, but by showing them things that didn't exist. Your inability to process deception became your greatest weakness." The council chamber erupted in a chaos of clicking sounds as the aliens discussed this concept in their native languages. The idea that false information could be more powerful than true information challenged everything they had ever known. "But we offer you something more than just a weapon," Walker announced. "We offer you the gift of imagination itself. Earth will establish training centers, teaching your species how to understand and create fiction. Some of you may even learn to do it yourselves." The alien representatives showed various signs of agitation and interest. The concept of intentionally creating false information was still foreign to them, but they could not deny its power. "Imagine a galaxy," Anna said, her voice filled with enthusiasm, "where every species can dream, can create, can imagine new possibilities. Where the answer to what if isn't just, that isn't real, but let's find out." The first speaker of the council rose from his seat. "Earth has shown us something we never knew existed. They have proven that truth is not the only path to understanding. We vote to accept their offer of teaching." Walker nodded, smiling. "Then let this be the beginning of a new age. Humanity will show you that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't what's real. It's what we can imagine could be real." As the council chamber filled with sounds of agreement, Earth's representatives shared knowing looks. They had kept their greatest weapon secret for so long, and now it would become their greatest gift to the galaxy. The ability to imagine, to create, to believe in things that didn't yet exist. This uniquely human trait would reshape the universe itself. "Send the signal," Walker whispered to Anna. "Tell Earth to begin Operation Storybook. It's time to teach the galaxy how to dream."